Good afternoon, respected Director, Professor, Senior Consultant, and College. I am Captain Sounadi. Today, I would like to present the critical care management for traumatic brain injury in combat casualty. These are the outline of my presentation. Traumatic brain injury is a life-threatening condition in trauma victims. Prompt and appropriate therapy is necessary to obtain a favorable outcome. In combat settle, traumatic brain injury patients are transferred from medical battalion to Defense Services General Hospital through the military hospital. The aim of the acute care is the prevention of secondary neurological injury. The common denominators are cerebral hypoxemia and cerebral ischemia. They are caused by hypoxemia, hypercapnia, hypotension, low cardiac output, elevation of intracranial pressure. We can use the advanced trauma life support algorithm in approaching the traumatic brain injury patient. It consists of primary survey, a prehistory, examination, and immediate resuscitation, and a secondary survey, a more complete history and physical examination, and laboratory and SLI testing. First, we have to assess the neurological status of the patient, Glasgow Coma scale, pupillary response, respiratory pattern, pulse and blood pressure, and we have to assess the injury to the other organs, like the evidence of intrathoracic or intraperitoneal hemorrhage. We have to monitor heart rate, rhythm, NIBP, CPP, and arterial blood pressure, SaO2, and ideal CO2, body temperature, and urine output. Regularly assess the arterial blood gases, hematocrit, electrolyte, glucose, and serum osmolality are also essential. Brain monitoring as the intracranial pressure monitoring, EEG monitoring, jugular venous valve oxygen saturation, transcranial Doppler, brain tissue oxygenation are also necessary. For the prevention of hypoxemia and hypercapnia, we have to provide the supplementary oxygen regardless of initial GCS score. The aim of the treatment is a SaO2 more than 90% or PaO2 more than 60 millimeter mercury. The patient with severe brain injury have to be intubated and ventilated with 100% oxygen. Nasal intubation should be avoided in patients with suspected basal skull fracture and sinus injury. The patient's airway and hemodynamic status should be quickly assessed before a plan for endotracheal intubation is chosen. Dial laryngoscopy is performed with minimal sedation. Video laryngoscope and fiber optic laryngoscopy can be used in difficult airway. For hyperdynamic or hemodynamically stable patient, we can intubate the patient with trapezius induction, head and neck stabilization, cricoid pressure by using the thiopentol, lidocaine, and succinylcholine. For hypovolemic patient, we can use etomidate and ketamine, but we have to consider a sudden increase in ICP during induction by using this agent. And the patient systolic blood pressure has to be kept more than 90 millimeter mercury. The best assets from clinical signs such as hypotension, tachycardia, inability to tolerate anesthetic agents, systolic blood pressure variation with positive pressure ventilation, and hypotension can be caused by blood loss, profound diuresis from mannitol, and aerobic attempt to restrict fluid intake. Fluid resuscitation and vasopressor may be helpful in restoring blood pressure. Hypertension can be caused by sympathetic nervous system overactivity, increased intracranial pressure, or light anesthesia. Beta blocker may be useful in reducing ECG waveform abnormality and myocardial necrosis associated with severe head injury. Sodium nitroprusside, nitroglycerin, and hydralazine, they may increase ICP, and we should be avoided. We have to keep the patient in euvolemic stage by using isoosmolar crystallized solution like 0.9% normal saline. It should be avoided glucose-containing solution because of its hypoosmolality. Patients who have low hematocrit may require a transfusion to optimize the oxygen delivery so that the hematocrit is maintained above 30%. After the patient has successfully resuscitated, the patient head position has to be kept 30-degree head update with the neck in neutral position. It promotes cerebrovenous drainage and reduce intracranial pressure. We have to keep in normocapnia. Brief period of hyperventilation is a therapeutic tool in treatment of intracranial hypertension. Hyperventilation should be avoided in first 24 hours after brain injury. Hypocapnia inhibits hypoxic pulmonary vasoconstriction and it can increase the pulmonary shunting. We can also use a hyperosmolar therapy in intracranial hypertension management. Like imanitol, it decreases brain water content and ICP. It reduces blood viscosity and RBC rigidity. We can also use a 3% and 7.5% hypertonic saline. It can be beneficial in hemodynamically stable patients or patients with heart disease. First, it may reduce the CSF fluid formation and water and iron penetration across the blood-brain barrier. We can sedate or give analgesis to the traumatic brain injury patient by giving barbiturate, propofol, and midazolam sedation, combining with opioid like morphine sulfate, fentanyl, or sufentanil. Hypothermia is strongly associated with worsening neurological outcome and increasing mortality with TBI. So that we have to treat with antihypertensive medication, cooling blanket, and internal cooling for hypothermia patient. Seizure prophylaxis, early enteral feeding, and stress ulcer prophylaxis. TBD prophylaxis with pneumatic compression device are also accessory. Drainage of CSF and evacuation of hematoma, such as the acute subdural, epidural, or large solitary intracerebral hematoma, is indicated. These are my reference. Thank you for your kind attention.